Alrighty. Well, welcome back to the second episode of Combat and Cryptids. This is kind of just, really just a hobby that we're kind of trying to do here. Nothing really scripted at all. And today we're going to be talking about my 2010. What the fuck was that?
It was a train.
Was it a train? I thought it was your phone, dude.
It was.
Is it your phone? God, dude. I was like,
Steak number one.
I was like, that train is like right next door, bro. It's nowhere near. So I was like, oh my God. All right. Well, that's a good start to that. All right. Well, our phones are off now. So everyone, this is my neighbor. He's a really good friend of mine. His name's Matt. Matt.
How's it going?
What's up, dude? So, just chilling. Did you ever get that, did you get that switched out on your...
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was it a bitch?
It was pretty easy.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Where was it
There
at?
was 3 bolts under the steering wheel.
Okay.
Take those off, but you had to turn the steering wheel in order to get to some
knuckle? Yeah,
some clips in order to take the top part of it off.
Okay.
Then you pull the switch directly out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 2 screws on there, but of course they're like Torx.
Oh, really?
So you have to have that tool. But
oh, they're not regular
no.
bolt heads. They have they look like stars or whatever with a little center punch in them.
Yep.
Yeah, those are. You need like a special tool for those too. It looks like I have a filter on this mic, but it's literally the plant leaf that is like right back there. It's so weird. It doesn't look like I'm really that close, but it looks like I'm eating that. If you look at it, you see it looks like I'm eating that fucking leaf. But anyways, we're getting off track there. So for today's episode, there's not really, this episode is really going to be geared more towards in 2010, 2011 was probably my first deployment to Afghanistan. So it's just kind of be something like that, just kind of go through like the daily routine that I went through and stuff like that, getting up to that point. And then we'll talk about some shitty stories and stuff like that. I mean, they're funny now. Some of them are, but at the point in time, being a 20-year-old kid at this point in time, it was pretty fucking scary.
Yeah, I bet.
But I did tell you the one that one time about the Sergeant Beauvais when he got shot. So it'll be that same one of those at least. But we'll kind of just go from there and just kind of talk about that. And at any point in time, Matt, if you want to chime in or you need to throw your 2 cents in, please don't hesitate.
All right.
All right. So, so obviously everybody knows that I was in the Marine Corps for about 5.5 years, and actually Matt was in the Army, back in what year was that, Matt?
94 to 96,
right?
97.
Yeah. Back when he was a little young and still. Yeah. So we both are. We're both veterans, so that's pretty cool, and that's kind of why me and Matt usually get along pretty well. So that's one thing at least we have in common. Not the same branch, but kind of the same story as far as getting out of your fucking town because you're just doing bad shit and you need to do something else at that point in time. So, but so from there, so at this point in time in my career, I'm more towards like the middle part of my career. So it's not really, I guess you could say I'm not really new to the Marine Corps, but I'm not really that fucking old yet. It's just kind of like that middle ground where you're not like a boot coming in, but you're not like the most like inexperienced guy.
Right.
Or experienced guy, I guess. So I'd already been on a couple MU deployments before that and stuff like that, which MU deployments are basically just like you go to like other countries and shit like that, but you don't really, you're just doing training. That's all it is. It's literally 6 months of training. Literally nothing else. You don't do anything else. You don't fucking shoot anything. It's just literal training on everything.
I'm sure you needed it.
Right. Well, there was a lot of drinking too that happened in those fucking things. So, but so we had literally just got back from a MU deployment, and then we were all standing in formation. It was like a Friday or some shit like that, and then the gunny comes up and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "We have a bunch of these engineer platoons." So just FYI, like, obviously I was a combat engineer in the Marine Corps, which basically, I guess, for everyone who is going to listen to this, a combat engineer is basically someone who, like, you have 3 different styles. You got the people who build stuff, you got the people who blow shit up, and then you got people who, like, repair, like, roadways and shit like that, I guess.
Okay.
So they hit, like the people you see, like, on the side of the road repairing, like, asphalt roads and shit like that. That's kind of the 3 different scenarios you could be as far as an engineer. So obviously the one that I chose was the one for all the explosives and stuff like that. Um, so basically we got back from that MEU deployment, and our gunny comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, like, we need some volunteers." And this is the point in time when Afghanistan was, I guess it wasn't in the beginning stages, because I think it all started around like 2008 when they really started going into Afghanistan and stuff like that. So it was kind of like in the middle. There had already been a couple years of actual like fighting and stuff going on over there and shit like that. So they were gearing up to make these huge pushes into like Marja and like Sang in Afghanistan and stuff.
What year was this?
This is 2010, so beginning of 2010 or middle of 2010 into the beginning of 2011.
Okay.
So usually combat deployments at that time, they're 7 months of a rotation. So usually you try and overlap, like between 3 different platoons, you try and overlap those 3 platoons 7 months at a time. So then you have like some sort of like, I guess, training portion where the people that are leaving are at least have a month overlap with the other platoons that are coming through and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's just basically just to get a lay of the land. You know what I mean? It's not. There's nothing really crazy going on with that. It's just more of like, hey, these are the kind of things that we were dealing with. These are the kind of things that we saw. We called it ripping. You basically ripped with the next platoon or the next battalion that's coming in. So basically you'd have that 1 month overlap. So getting ahead of ourselves. So basically the gunny was like, hey, we need volunteers. And everybody in this platoon, it was really like we were only like, I think we were all probably around like 19, 20. So we weren't yet that experienced. We couldn't even legally drink alcohol yet at that point. So, but 5 of us volunteered. So it was me, this hillbilly dude named Now from Mississippi. You had Galvan, Hargrave, and fuck, I don't remember the other guys. And they're probably going to hate me for it. But, I mean, they probably weren't that important. Oh, Jacob Ferguson. The guy who did my tattoos. He was there, too.
All right.
Yeah, so he was on that MEU platoon with us, too, as well. But basically, they had those volunteers. And that's all they needed. So they were very short-handed on this one platoon. So they filled up Platoon 1 and Platoon 2 with all these fresh dudes. I'm talking like you basically just get out of boot camp and you're just coming straight there, first duty station. And they're like, hey, this is kind of the way it's going to be. In 2 months, all you motherfuckers are going to Afghanistan. And everybody's like, of course, everybody's all like, yeah, fuck yeah, like Afghanistan, yeah. We're going to go fight the good war and stuff like that. All that kind of shit. Yeah. You know how you are like young and dumb when you're 18, 19. You think nothing can hurt you and shit like that. So basically, we all get in these platoons, and we end up being third platoon. There's four platoons. So you basically have 3 platoons, first, second, third. First and second are already over there. And the third platoon is getting ready to come or to go over there. And then basically 4th platoon is like an RTB, so they're basically a rotation platoon. So basically they're the fresh bodies. If somebody gets hurt or something stupid goes on, they're basically the backup quarterbacks, I guess, if you wanted to say. So they don't do anything, like literally all day. They're literally packed up and ready to go. If something happens, they need 5 more engineers. These dudes literally any time of the day get on a fucking plane and they just go. So that was kind of where we were at. So we were in 3rd platoon, and basically these kids had maybe, like we had already been training for years. Like the platoon that I was with before, like all these guys, we had known each other from fucking schooling to our first duty station. Like all of us, we were like fucking like scissoring. Like we were right there, dude. We were tight knit. Like, and it was just us 5, and we already felt like, man, like we don't man, I don't want to go fucking combat with these fucking little kids, dude. Like, because you don't know. Like, like you're put in certain situations with, 18-year-old kids nowadays. And I'd be like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll just be by myself, man. Fuck that. Like,
yeah, sure.
So
it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
I didn't go overseas, but our platoon was separated and put with other platoons and other teams and whatnot. So I know what you mean. But
just that difference between people you don't know and stuff like that, it's just hard. So basically, we all get there, we do all this training and stuff, and we basically had like 2 months of like training. We had 1 month in CAX in California, and then basically 1 month of training in Japan, which is where we were stationed at. So basically, and at this point in time, we're only fucking Lance Coolies. Like we're E3s, we ain't been in long enough to reach. Some of us got to NCO, like obviously we're on that deployment, but for the majority of we're all like E3s. So all these dudes coming in are E2 and E3s, the same as us. And we're like, man, we don't want to do this shit with these motherfuckers. Like, can you see some of these dudes? And I was like, nah, man, I can't have this dude's gonna be fucking helping me. Like, nah, man. Like, so some of these kids, they were just like, they weren't grown up yet, I guess, or they hadn't seen enough of like the Marine Corps and stuff like that, and gotten into that kind of like where you're, where you've done enough things where you kind of understand how the Marine Corps operates and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Like all these young people, they're all about operating by the book. Like it's got to be to the letter, to the T, cross your T's, dot your I's type stuff. And when you've been in for 2.5, 3 years, you're like, listen here, motherfucker. Like that's not how. Like it might look like that, but that's not how it goes.
Yeah, with any experience, that things are gonna deviate. You got to work around it.
And you could try and find out real quick who was able to figure those kinds of things out, and who the fuck, like, man, if we start getting shot at, man, I know I'm not gonna ask your ass for help because you, like, you could just tell. So we did all these training courses and stuff like that. We do all, we do like tracking courses. We do all these kinds of different things that try and this is stuff that usually takes a 6 months training period to do. Like usually you have 6 months to build up. Go on all your mocks, do all your stuff, and that's kind of where you build like that teamwork and stuff like that. And everybody comes together, and you find out who your fucking turds are, and then you find out who your good people are and stuff like that. And then you kind of find your leadership and all that stuff. But all we had was 2 months, and they crammed fucking a shit ton of stuff in 2 months. They were just like, here, one day you're doing this, next day you're doing this. They were making sure everybody was qualified for certain things because they didn't want to be pressed for time for people who couldn't, because you had to have all these prerequisites to go anywhere. You weren't just allowed to be like, yeah, no, you're good. Like, you want to make sure your fucking PFT is up to date and your rifle range is up to date. So you had to do all these things and cram it all into 2 months of a training period. And then as well, we're all in Japan. Like, you have to facilitate that and then still give people a week off to go see their families before they fucking go to war. Like, that's... But obviously, they shortened that as much as they could and stuff like that. But so then you come back and stuff like that.
It sounds like you didn't have to train for sleep deprivation.
No,
you already had
it.
it.
Fucking sleep deprivation, man. And that was just, the training we had on sleep deprivation and stuff like that. Like, it was, like, I don't know if you've ever been to that point where you're, like, so tired that you're just, like,
you start seeing things.
I'd rather just fucking die at this point. Because,
bushes start turning into people.
And I'll tell you about, dude, this one time we were there, man, I was sitting on this fucking, this 50 cal. We we probably worked like 22 hours throughout the night. And then I'm sitting in this fucking, it's a MAT P. It's basically just an up-armored Humvee. And where I'm sitting on the fucking 50 cal. And I don't know, and I had an MVG on, which made it worse because MVGs are already fucking 10 times as bad. They already make you look like you're seeing fucking everything moving. And I see come over this HESCO, what I thought, dude, 100% thought it was a person coming over this fucking HESCO. And I fucking racked this 50 cal back, dude. And I'm like, hey, motherfucker, you better stop or I'm going to fucking light your ass up, dude. And he don't fucking stop, dude. And then I'm starting to scream. Then everybody's getting woken up. Everybody was sleeping and shit like that. And I wake them all up. And everybody comes out there with fucking flashlights and all their guns. Half people are in their fucking underwear and shit. And they go out there and there's no one out there, dude. No one. There wasn't a fucking step, not a speck, nothing. It was just...
You don't know. It could have been a scout, man.
Could have been, dude. If that motherfucker made it over that HESCO, dude, he deserved to get in, dude. The way we had the fucking C-wire everywhere and barbed wire, there's no way you could get into that thing. But, anyways, fast forward a little bit, and now we'll go back. So basically, when you get like a gear list for everything, for like your deployment and stuff like that, and most times, most people you can always, like, if you're going on a camping trip or you're going hiking or something like that, it's always, if you pack everything you need and you forget something, it's always pretty easy to get that stuff. Like, you can always stop somewhere, stop at a fucking Walgreens or something like that. But when you go on a combat deployment, if you forget it, you're fucked. Like, there's no, like, you can't go to the local fucking Walmart down the street to go get, a pair of socks or a pair of underwear or some shit like that. And there wasn't like, you ain't got the Taj Mahal and it wasn't fucking these great ass showers. So you tried all the amenities that you usually like and you usually have, stuff like a fucking pillow. Like even the smallest thing.
Right.
Like, and I'm talking like a little tiny little flight pillow, just normal things that you would normally take for granted that you already had, and then you get there and you'd be like, "Fuck, man, I could use a fucking pillow right now, dude." Like just like little shit like that, but you couldn't. Like there was no way. Like if you didn't have it, you were fucked. Like so that's why. Like when you packed all your shit up, like, we had these big ass. It was a point in time when the Marine Corps was transitioning and trying out all these new like high speed, low drag equipment and stuff like that, and they're basically trying to like it's like a big ass. You know what the sea bag is? Obviously, you had sea bags in the army too.
Right.
These were like the high speed versions of the sea bags. They were big and tan. You could fit fucking 5 bodies into this thing. Like that's how big they were. And they were zippers and they had a handle on them. Like they were fucking luggage. But you never used the handle or use the luggage because it was too goddamn heavy with these cheap ass wheels that they put on it. So you could never like drag it like briskly like someone walking through an airport would drag a fucking bag. Because we're packing this thing, dude. It looks like it's about to blow out every fucking hole that it has. So we packed these things fucking full, dude. And we've already had 500 fucking inspections before this. Taking shit out of our bags, putting our shit back into the bags.
I'm sure.
You know, it's already, everybody wants to make sure you got everything. You know, you'd have 21 pairs of socks, 21 shirts, 21, and like, we ain't there for 21 days. Like, how the fuck? Like, the math doesn't add up for the shit that I'm bringing. So basically, we already do all that stuff, and you do all your family time and all that stuff. So basically, at this point, we already traveled from Japan, and now we are in North Carolina. So North Carolina is where 2-9, their actual their battalion and everything is 2-9's in North Carolina, which is obviously where Angel was living and stuff like that. So it kind of worked out for me because she was already there. She didn't have to travel or anything like that. It was already pretty set for that. So everybody's doing all that. Everybody does all the family time and all that stuff, and everybody, you know, saying bye, and there's cries and there's tears and all that shit and all that stuff. And basically from there, as soon as you leave, it's basically like game time. Like there's no more. Like if you ever have to travel with a platoon in like a regular airport, like the fucking Cleveland airport.
Okay.
You're basically traveling. 40 guys are traveling with Pelican cases with fucking M4s and fucking pistols and 203s, all kinds of the shit you would never see, and you're basically just walking through the airport with all of this stuff. Obviously, it's a little more noticeable around a military base because they're like, oh shit, yeah, they're probably in the Marine Corps.
Right.
You know, it's not like you'd see it here. So basically, that's what we do. Like, you would carry all of your stuff, like basically the shit anything that had a serial number on it. So your NVGs, fucking bayonet. Like, I don't know why the fuck we still needed a bayonet, but we still had a bayonet. Your M4 and your gun and your pistol and stuff like that. And then all your luggage would get put onto the plane, and you're flying on. I think we flew on like a regular plane from there, and basically you go from the States, and then you basically do like a little pit stop. The pit stop in and out of Afghanistan was always Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, which always reminds me of that one place from the fuck is the funny dude?
The movie?
Yeah, Borat. Fucking the Borat. Like that's what it
Kazakhstan?
reminds. Yeah, Kazakhstan. That's the kind of place it was. And basically, it was just like it was like an Air Force base, and that's all that was there was Air Force, and then it was just all these big. They were just like massive huts, and basically the massive huts would just house battalions that were coming through. It was basically your pit stop. Either you were the people you saw there were leaving, and you were the fucking fresh ones going in. So you could always tell the difference between all of those people because in the Marine Corps, when you're a boot and it's your first combat deployment, you always have to shave your head. Like it's like a normal thing. Shave skin all the way down.
All right.
No matter what. I don't give a fuck if you've been in for 3 years or 4 years. If you've never been on a combat deployment, that was to signify that this was your first combat deployment.
Okay, just like basic training. Well, for a boot camp for you.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So basically, you have like 30 penis head fucking dudes running around, and only like 4 or 5. Because there's probably, you know, the people who had only at that point been on any kind of combat deployments are usually your squad leaders, your staff sergeant and stuff like that. That's usually the only people who have done anything. Everybody else is everybody's fucking bald. So we basically get into Kyrgyzstan, and basically everyone's in their own squad. So we have 4 squads. You have 3 squads of engineers, and then you have a 4th squad, which is like your support, I guess you could say. So they're like your HE operators, your heavy equipment operators, your electricians, your water dogs, and what the fuck else do we have? Oh, like a radio operator and stuff like that. So basically, everything that a normal grunt platoon that would be there, you would have the same asset as them. You would be the same. Like you would need like a engineer platoon going with a grunt battalion. We don't need anything because we have all the same stuff that they have.
Okay.
You know, like we have saws, we have team leaders, we have the whole same setup as them. So that way, when we attach to them, it's basically seamlessly. So their first, second, and third are a squad leader, 2 team leaders, and then their teams. And that's the same setup that we have. And their 4th squad is usually like your fucking mortarmen, your assaultmen, and stuff like that. Basically, not the helpful side of it, but they're like the supporting assets. They're not really just boots on the ground. Well, they are, but not like riflemen, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So we have the same setup as them. And basically, I think we were 2nd or 3rd squad. I don't know. So the squad leader is Sergeant Bouvier. Big motherfucker from Louisiana. I'm talking like the scariest, biggest dude you could ever think of. Like as a Marine, like he was scary as shit. As a person, he was cool as fuck. You know, he was pretty just a normal guy from Louisiana. He's probably 22, 23 at this time.
Did he talk like LSU's old coach?
Oh yeah. That's the way he talked. Him and then our team leader was Sug, and they were both from. One was from West Monroe, Louisiana. The other dude was from New Orleans, actual New Orleans, Louisiana. And they both talked exactly the same. Like they had a weird fucking draw. They always sounded weird. You couldn't understand them sometimes when they were yelling and shit like that. But they were both cool as fuck, like both of them. So, and then the other team leader, I can't remember who the other team leader was at the time. I know it wasn't me because I didn't get to that point yet. I think it was either Nal was the team leader. I think he wasn't NCO, but he was the most senior Lance Corporal. And he didn't get in a lot of trouble, and he didn't get yelled at a lot. That's probably why he got the position, because I got yelled at a lot all the fucking time. I was always running my mouth and doing dumb shit. But it was just...
You're doing better than me. I can't remember hardly anybody.
Yeah. So, but that's why I wanted to kind of do this, because at some point I'm going to forget this shit, and it's just not going to be... But I'd rather remember it now and talk about it now than I'll always have it, I guess. So basically, that's our squad. And each squad will basically... So when you get to your area, basically each squad, you would take maybe... You would usually take like a month. Or not even a month. Maybe 2 weeks at like the main fob. And then from there, basically, the grunt battalion will basically break up Echo, Fox, and Golf. They'll basically break off and go to their specific sectors in Marja, Afghanistan. And then basically from there, we will attach our whole entire squad will attach to that grunt company. So we were attached with, fucking hell. Echo Company was the ones that we attached. Echo 29. And basically, and these dudes were cool as fuck. Like, these motherfuckers, they just wanted to kill everything. They didn't give a shit. Like, it was literal what you see in the movies. Like, this is the kind of warfare that, like, this is.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, this isn't, like, any, like, paintball or airsoft competition. Like, this shit is, like, these dudes were legit, like, bred for this stuff. And 2-9, they were a fucking crazy-ass battalion. Like, these dudes didn't give a fuck about anything. They were there literally just to kill motherfuckers. Like, that's it.
It's great. That's what you need.
Yes, it is. And to have those motherfuckers on your side is even better. So basically, we're flying in. We go from Kyrgyzstan, and we go into like the little Air Force base that's right outside of Marja. I think it was, I don't even know the name of it. It was just, we called it Camp Cupcake is what we called it. So basically, it was where the Air Force and the Army and all these guys would stay. It's where if you got shot or killed or blown up, it's basically where all the medevacs would leave. I think it was Camp Bastion, I think is what the actual name of it is. And basically, that was like the main fob for everything. And
so if you got injured, you went to Camp Bashed In?
Yeah, basically, from wherever you were, your PB or anything like that.
Bashed In?
No, Bastion, like Christian.
Okay.
Bastion, yeah, not like fucking Bastion.
Figure's a little ironic.
Right? No, yeah, right. Yeah, you kind of deserved it. So basically, it was just this big ass. I mean, the place was huge. Like, it had its own travel. There were people doing like regular shit that you would do back in the rear. Like, you were doing like PFT courses and shit like that. You were doing just dumb shit that you shouldn't do. And I'm like, this place is so stupid. So that's basically where we fly in. And when you fly into this place, you're basically on a C-130. And basically from the C-130, you're flying in like a normal flight, like you're on Spirit Airlines and everything like that. And then at some point, they call it, it's basically a combat drop. So basically, so like heat seekers, any kind of ground air missiles of some sort, they basically can't lock onto you. So basically, they do this fucking thing where they're flying, and then at some point when you get close, they basically turn off the engines, and you basically free fall drop for about 500 feet, and then they turn the engines back on, and you hope that everything comes back on, and then you fly and you land safely, like. So, and if you're not used to those kind of things, and a lot of people weren't, like you got fucking 40 dudes. And you don't. This ain't like this isn't Spirit or American Airlines. They don't give you a little fucking bag to puke in. Like, there's nothing like that. Like there's people. So we have these Nalgene bottles, these big ass Nalgene bottles, and people are puking into their water bottles that they're gonna use. They haven't even made it into the place where they're gonna be at, and they're already contaminating their water bottle with fucking puke. And it was mostly the fucking officers that were doing it because they just weren't. I don't know. Officers they were always funny guys. I guess this is probably the nicest thing that I could say.
So you didn't give them the heads up. You waited for them to figure it out.
We didn't even know it was.
Okay.
We didn't even know it was a thing, dude. I'd never even heard of it. You heard of it afterwards once you landed, and everybody's like, "How'd you guys do with that?" And everybody's like, "What the fuck, dude? Like you didn't even tell nobody. Like they just fucking kill the engine. We think we're already about to die before we even get there, dude."
I think they could have announced it.
Yeah, like, hey,
we're now going to turn the engine on.
So basically, from there, we basically get to Camp Bastion or Camp Cupcake, as we called it. And then you would basically stay there for they'd keep you there for probably, I would say, about a week and a half. Basically just to acclimatize you to, the heat, the environment. Because, Afghanistan at this point in time and July timeframe, it's fucking hot as shit. Like it's scorching hot, and it ain't fucking dry heat like California. Like it's just hot.
Yeah, I bet.
So
I was gonna ask you, what's the weather like?
but we were coming from Japan, so Japan was always hot as fuck too. That place, but that's had humidity with it too, so you were already used to the heat. So we weren't that bad. It didn't take that long for us to acclimatize to it.
Did it still get cold at night?
Oh fuck yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we had snow at some point. It was miserable. But so basically, we're there for a week and a half, and it's basically just acclimatize you. You go to all these classes and stuff like that, and they kind of show you like the lay of the land, kind of the overview of the area where you're going to be operating in and stuff like that. And then basically, they'll kind of give you like, hey, these are the things to look out for, and you'll get people who teach the class who have obviously been in this area for a while and stuff like that. And you get like a couple like CIA guys and shit. They might be CIA. I don't know who the fuck they are. They're just people in regular fucking clothes. They're not in camis and shit like that. So there's some sort of counterintelligence of some sort to have the intel to tell us all this stuff.
Okay.
And then basically you get all this information and all this shit, and then everybody goes back to their huts. You get your last chance at a shower, at running water, I guess you could say, because after this point, there is no running water. There's no fucking power, minus your little PB that you're going to be on, but some of them varied. It all depended on which one you were at and how close it was to the main place. Everything was dependent on how close it was. How close you could get supplies or how fast you could get supplies, because some of these places were out there. And some of them we made up as we were getting there, So we fly out, and at the first point, like our whole platoon basically breaks up. And we haven't went with our companies yet. We're still basically as an engineer unit because they don't know what they want to do with us at this point. They don't know if we're going to attach with the grunt units or if we're going to help ESB, which is like they're engineers, but they're like the bitches of the engineers, I guess you say. So they're the ones who build and do all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they needed help though, because they were trying to do road work and all. They were trying to, win the hearts and minds of, the Afghan nationals and stuff like that, or people, I guess.
All right.
And we were not there for that. Like we didn't go there with that intention at all. We were just going there just to, like strictly for one fucking thing, just to murder motherfuckers. That was it. So basically, we're all still together, and I'll never forget this to the day that I'm dead. And this was our first like encounter that we had with, being in Afghanistan. So basically, our two squads on a little on a Black Hawk helicopter. We basically get on. We're still carrying all our big ass fucking bags. Still, we got everything with us. You know, we're carrying all this shit. And we get on this fucking helicopter, and there's about 30 of us on it. We're fucking sitting down, and it's like maybe like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, so we're already fucking tired. Like, we don't know what we're getting into. You don't know where you are. You can't see anything. And basically, and I'll never forget it. So we're flying they're flying this helicopter, and at some point, in a random ass spot, we just touch down. Like, there's no lights. There's no, you figure like if it's a patrol base of some sort, you would see lights and stuff.
Right.
Pitch black. And the door gunners, so the door gunners are usually they're either Air Force or Army guys and stuff like that. So these dudes are panning like out the window, like looking on the ground and shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck are they looking at? What the fuck is going on? And you don't know anything, dude. You're just a fucking 19, 20-year-old kid.
Yeah, it could
just
be
like sitting there just.
Could be a hot LZ, man.
Well, that's what they always say. Like that, we found that out too later on.
It's always a hot LZ.
So it's always a hot LZ. And then you jump out and there's fucking dudes on the hill smoking a cigarette. And you're like, why the fuck do we look like retards, dude? But so basically, they land this Black Hawk in the middle of nowhere, and there's mountains and shit around there. And I'll never forget this dude. This dude runs. They lower the back ramp, and this dude runs on. He has two, what I would call, they're two bear saws. So basically, they're two 249 5.56 belt-fed guns, and they're small. They're shorter. They're made for like close quarters and like movement and stuff like that. They have collapsible buttstock. They're amazing. They're great. This dude has two of them on his back. He's got a sniper rifle across that, and a fucking M4 and a pistol. This dude looks like he's from fucking like the future. Like this dude, and he's got fucking the dual NVGs on, full fucking beard, and just a hat on.
Yeah.
And you see this dude coming. They lower the ramp, and you see him off in the distance, and he's just running across the fucking desert. About 2 minutes later, he runs, gets on the fucking plane, sits on the back. Doesn't say a word to anybody. Doesn't fucking no hi, no what's up, none. Just sits back there. Then we lift back up, and then we go to Camp Hansen, which is like the main, like you had Camp Bastion, or I think that was the name. It might be wrong. I don't know. But then you go to Camp Hansen, which is like the main where everyone goes basically before they go out to the furthest outreaches of where we went to and stuff like that. So basically, as soon as we land into Camp Hansen, I think it's Hansen. Fuck, I don't remember the names of them at this point. And we land there. This dude gets off. We never see the fucking guy again. Never. Couldn't tell you who he was. Didn't even know. Never will ever see him. Never will find out who the fuck he is.
Doing in his own thing, man.
I don't know. I think it was, looking
desert
back
running.
on it. Yeah, no, not that far out, dude. I look at it now and stuff like that, and I think he had to have been some sort of like forward operation of some sort, just looking at some shit or doing something. So that's what I think it was at some point. Why he was by himself, I couldn't tell you. Maybe there was another helicopter that picked up the other three, and he was the last one. I don't know, but basically, so that was our introduction to Afghanistan. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. So basically, then we get to Camp Hansen. We all get there. We all land, and we all pull off our gear. And Camp Hansen is a big base. Like it's got people who are cleaning water, people who are. It's like everybody is there. There's thousands of people there, but it's not as ritzy Carlton as the other place we just came to.
Okay.
They have a gym there and everything like that. Well, a makeshift gym that you make out of like sandbags and shit like that. But it's pretty sweet. So basically, and then you go back to these tents back there. And basically, for the first couple weeks we're there, we're basically just building shit, dude. Like literally, we're building like fucking stands, and we're doing just dumb shit. Like shit that we didn't think we were going to be doing.
Right.
While 29 is the company that we were supposed to be with and stuff. And they're out there already fucking ripping with their dudes. They're out there doing patrols and shit that we thought we were going to be able to do and stuff like that. So for the first 2 weeks, it was pretty boring. It was just like, man, like this shit is boring as fuck. Like this is a combat deployment. Like, well, I said that. And, looking back on it, man, I would have traded anything to do that for fucking 7 months easy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's better not to ask for, don't ask for it, because when you get it, it's just not something you want to fucking deal with. So basically from there, so we get our first like mission. We're like, fuck yeah, our first mission, dude. We feel like fucking Jason Bourne and shit, dude. put fucking black paint all on our eyes like we're fucking in the jungle and shit, dude. Just being stupid and stuff like that. Because we're going stir crazy at this place. Like, we're just like in our tents. We're just doing we're doing stupid little hip pocket classes and all this other dumb shit and everything like that. And they're like, hey, we got a mission. And we're like, cool. They're like, all right, we have these 4 bridges that Echo Company is in control of. So Echo Company is the one that our squad is attached to. And they're like, basically what we're going to do is we have 4 bridges where the Taliban were basically bringing over all these HME explosives and stuff, like where they were planting bombs or bringing guns and bullets and shit like that. They were bringing all this stuff over. And they're like, we want to get rid of these bridges completely. And we're like, fuck yeah. So then they, squad leaders, everybody, they go to the drawing board. They're making up fucking, like, they're engineers, like actual engineers, like making up fucking diagrams of like bridges, dude. They look like the Golden Gate bridges these motherfuckers are drawing on the whiteboard. Right? And they're like, we're planting the charges here. This is what we're doing. This is all stuff. And we're like, cool. That sounds amazing. Like, it all sounds great. So we get out to the patrol base where Echo Company is at. And basically, like, we get out there and, like, being an engineer, like, the best thing for you is when you get that whole truckload of explosives. Like, that's like fucking candy. It's like crack, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
You're like, oh my God. And we're getting fucking shape charges. We got C4. We got all these different things that are just like the greatest. They're like fucking toys, like on Christmas. And it's all fun, Like, this is like, at this point, we're still having fun. Everybody's fucking rapping shit. We're putting det cord on. We're putting fucking timers for fuses. We're doing all this cool shit and everything like that. And these bridges are like a fucking mile away. And do you think we're trucking on a fucking 7-ton to these fucking things? No, we gotta fucking carry these fucking shape charges, which are fucking 50, 60-pound fucking explosives. And me at the time, 5'9", maybe 140, carrying already all my fucking flak and Kevlar, my gun, and then I gotta carry fucking shape charges on my back with all these fucking explosives and everything like that. And this is like the first mission we do, and I'm like, someone just shoot me now, like, please.
I understand that. I was infantry, but it was heavy weapons. So
right.
Mark 19s or 50 cals or
tripods and all the other
tow missile systems. Like, we're all humping that.
Good.
Especially when you were talking about landing the helicopter before. Mm-hmm. And I thought you were going to tell me that you landed in the wrong spot.
No.
They did that shit to us all the time. I swear they did it on purpose.
Right. I don't think
you're looking at the maps and you're facing the wrong direction and you're 2 clicks away.
Right. Yeah. No. It wasn't that bad. So basically we load up all of our packs with all explosives, and it's only like, a squad of grunts basically goes out with us, and I forget who the fucking squad leader was. I think it might have been Sergeant Clubmate squad. I don't know, but no, it wasn't Sergeant Clubmate, because whoever had Twig. So basically, Twig was the badass motherfucker. This dude is like if you want the epitome and like the poster child for the fucking Marine Corps, like, this dude was it. He was like 6'4", cocky motherfucker, like, didn't give a fuck about anything, like, already act like he ran this shit and stuff like that. Like, he was a badass motherfucker. So basically, we get out to these fucking bridges, dude, and you're already hunched over. Like, you start standing straight up, and you're like, oh, this ain't that bad, you know what I mean? You get about half mile into it, and you start leaning a little more forward and a little more forward, and it's just like, this fucking pack is getting heavy as fuck. And then by the end of it, I'm basically parallel with the ground, like, trying to hold this fucking pack up. And all I'm thinking is, someone just shoot me, just so I don't have to carry this fucking pack no more. Like, this is the first time we went out. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do and stuff like that. I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, this is miserable. So we finally get to the bridges, and it's just the sun is cresting up, like, barely coming up. And we get to these bridges, and we drew these big-ass fucking plans for all these bridges. It looked like a Golden Gate Bridge, dude. We were fucking, like we had degrees in this shit stuff, like, for drawing. And we get to these bridges, and all they are is fucking logs going across the fucking canal. All right? Man. They are the most rinky-dink fucking things you've ever seen in your entire life. These little fucking goddamn things, dude. And I'm talking 6-inch round. Like, and they're just, 2 of them go to, like, a middle part, and then 2 of them go to the other middle part. And that's what they're using. And I'm like, these are the extravagant fucking bridges that they're using to get all this stuff across. I'm like, why don't we just throw the logs in the river and then you ain't got to worry about it? And they're like,
and all your drawings are huge.
yeah, they look like a fucking, like, the best printout you could ever think of for that. So we're like, what? Then we all look at each other and we're like, well, we ain't carrying this shit back, so we fucking blowing it all up.
There you go.
Yeah, well, we ain't fucking carrying this shit back. So, of course, we place charges in places we obviously didn't need charges. And I got fucking funny-ass pictures of it because they're, like, wading, like... And the water's, like, way steep, dude. Like, you could just fucking walk across the water if you wanted to. We're placing fucking C4 on the side of these fucking pillars, and the only pillar's in the middle. We're placing fucking charges on the side of this fucking thing like we're in a fucking Mission Impossible movie and everything, which C4 does not stick like that, if I might add. That fucking shit, I stuck it on there, I left and went 10 feet away, and it fucking, and just floated away in the fucking river. But, so we blow all this shit up, and everything gets blown up, we disintegrate, we basically blew up, like, a big area around the edge of the bank, so then they couldn't, like, extend the poles over. So basically we did what we were supposed to do, but we just used way more explosives than we did. As at one point, we threw a grenade for no reason because Twig wanted to time. He wanted to see if he got the countdown right and have the grenade and the C4 and stuff blow up at the same time. He was off by like fucking 6 seconds. Like,
well, it's good practice, right?
The charges blew up, and then 5 seconds later, the fucking grenade goes off. And then everybody's freaking out, like, what the fuck was that? Did we get fucking shot at? And like everybody at that point's on heightened alert and all that stuff. So for our first mission, we were just like, wow, this sucked. You know, this wasn't fun at all. It wasn't how everyone had made it out to be and everything like that. So we're like, all right, fuck. So then basically we go back after that, and it was all fun. You know, it was fun to do and stuff like that. And we went back into like an awkward place on the way back and stuff like that. Because Twig was like, hey, you guys want to get shot at today? And of course, us being dumb, we're like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go get shot at. And we go down this one path where he knows where the fucking Taliban don't like us to go. And we got like maybe like 5 or 6 shots shot at us. And we're all just sitting in this fucking area, hot as fuck. And we're like, that was it. That was our big huzzah for the fucking shootout. Like, no one even shot anything. But they shot like 5 rounds, and we had to hide for like fucking 30 minutes because they were like, we don't want to deal with anything right now. We didn't come out there. Like, we just came out for the mission, and that's all we're supposed to do. We can't add to it because there's other patrols that got to come out and stuff like that, and everybody's on a rotation, so you can't fuck up the schedule. Like, we're on a schedule, and it ain't like, you know, calling off at work or anything stupid like that. Like, you have to stick to the schedule, otherwise you just fuck everybody else's sleep up and stuff. So then we're like, so we're sitting there and we get back and stuff, and then we leave there, and then we go back to the main base where we were at and stuff like that. And the first time, like, we had to go to like the marketplace or some shit that was there. And basically, we go out on the marketplace. I think we were going to go get fucking chicken or something like that. It wasn't anything we needed or anything like that at all. So basically, we're going out. We went out right outside the camp. And we get out there. And we get probably about 500 meters away and stuff like that. We're in the fucking village and stuff like that. Everything's cool. And everybody's it's just like a black market. Like, they're just selling everything. They're selling fucking goats. They're selling cars, they're selling chickens, whatever the hell you can think of. They're selling.
So when you say you went to get chicken, are they like lopping the head off and handing you the rest of it?
Yeah, like that kind of shit. Yeah, like the kind of shit you see on TV, like that shit. Yeah. So that's what we're going for, and they give it to you in a big ass box too, a big ass just fucking chickens. They're already skinned and gutted and everything like that. You just gotta cook them. So basically, we go out there and we start walking back, and we start getting shot at. Like, maybe we took like 2 or 3 rounds. I wouldn't say shot at. We got fucking like 40 feet away from us, nowhere near us at all. And then everybody's fucking getting down. You know, all our instincts are kicking in from all our core training and everything like that. So we get down, and the first time I put my gun on fire, bam, put it on fire, squeeze the trigger, boom, nothing. And I'm like, fuck. Thinking, tap, rack, bang, nothing. Nothing's happening, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? The first time I ever had to put it on fire. And I'm like, wow, if I don't look like a fucking jackass, dude, I do now. So I'm just tap, rack, banging this motherfucker, and nothing's happening, dude. I'm ejecting a fucking good round, nothing on the primer, fucking going at it. Nothing major happened, at least. No one got shot or anything like that, so we just kind of got up and just walked off on our merry way. I get back into my room where we have our little cots and stuff. I open up break down my fucking M16. When I cleaned it, Good thing we didn't get shot at when I took the explosives, because when I took my I think it was M16 apart, and I took the bolt carrier group, it's got a little fucking cotter pin in it.
Mm-hmm.
Then that cotter pin is supposed to go behind that firing pin. So basically, the firing pin goes in, the cotter pin is what holds it in place, and basically it just charges it, and that's what hits the primer on the back of the bullet. Well, I put that in front of it. So basically, my firing pin is just sitting on top. So every time I'd go to charge it, it wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there, just flattering around in there. So it was just...
I'm trying to remember that.
So basically, you have the bolt carrier group, and you got the little thing that comes out, right? It's like a little gear that sits in there, and it has a firing pin that slides into it, like a silver firing pin. It looks like a fucking needle.
Right.
A cottering pin, or like a little shaft, goes across that. And basically, it stops. Basically, when you fire it, it basically has room to hit the primer.
Is it still the M16A2, or did you guys have some newer shit? Okay. I probably just forgot the damn thing.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
So basically, that's what happened with that whole situation. So the whole firing pin was off and everything like that, because as soon as I broke it down and pulled the bolt carrier group out, the firing pin just fell out. So that was kind of screwed. And I was like, man, dude, good thing we didn't get into some shit, dude. I've been swinging that motherfucker like a bat, dude. You know? All right. So basically from there, we do like, so ESB is like Engineer Support Battalion. And basically what these guys want is they want to make these new patrol bases. So we have, and this was like our first like actual, like where we're out doing shit and this is what we're doing. Like basically it was the dumbest thing ever. Number one, let me throw that out there. It was so stupid that we were even out there doing it. That why, I don't know. It was not our job, but the needs of the Marine Corps outweigh what the fuck I think. So basically our captain at the time, I'll never forget his name, Captain Anklem. Dumbest motherfucker I ever met. If I ever met him today, I would say it to his face. But basically, they wanted to make these Typhoons. So we had a road, like a main road, that intersected like every like quarter mile. There was another road that crossed it.
Okay.
And basically, we had people everywhere on those roads to basically do like stupid security checks and stuff like bats and hides systems and all that other bullshit. And basically, we're just looking for Taliban. Anybody doing some bad shit. That's all we were doing. And at this point of the road, we had 3 different sections that we wanted to section off. So we had Typhoon 3, Typhoon 4, and Typhoon 5. Basically, they made a big triangle. And 2 of them were on the road, and then 1 was on a road, but it was at the perpendicular part of the road. So it went down a little bit. And we're out there, and we're not equipped to make any of this stuff. We have one fucking loader operator. His name's Randolph. And he always looked like he was high as shit. He never was, but it's just the look that he gave off. He was a hell of a fucking loader operator. But it was just him. It was too much for what we were equipped for. And basically, we were the ones building Typhoon 3 and 5. And then ESB, since they already had so much on their plate, they built Typhoon 4. They built Typhoon 4, a whole fucking PB, in like a week. And it looked like the Taj Mahal. The fucking HESCO was straight. It was double. It was fucking concertina wire, everything. Because they're equipped for it.
Yeah.
Literally, they have 4 platoons that are out there to do this shit. And that's all that they've done up to this deployment. That's all that they do. Us. It's like us trying to put a fucking triangle in that goddamn circle hole in the little shapes. Like, we're just not. Like, number one, we didn't want to do it. Number two, that was not what we were there for. So we ended up building this Typhoon number 3. And it's like, it has like a building on the corner and shit like that. And then we basically made some HESCO come off of them. We put like a little PB in the corner. And then at the 4-way intersection, we basically wanted to put a tow missile on it. But like not the one that's on the truck, but like the tripod one. It's like a smaller tow missile, I guess.
Okay.
It's not the
ours was the same unit, just a different mount.
It might
So
have been the same
you could mount it on the top of a Hummer.
Yeah.
So and that's the same one we would carry in pieces and just put it on a tripod.
Oh, okay. So then it probably was the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. All I know is that's what they wanted. So basically, they just wanted this tow missile to point down the one main road. So basically, if a vehicle was coming and they had fucking explosives or whatever the fuck it was, you could shoot the motherfucker before he got to you. But then at the same time, it's on a 4-way intersection. And basically at the 4-way intersection, they wanted to put it over here. So basically it was pointing this way, but then you had saws and 240s and shit like that pointing the other way and stuff like that. And there's houses all around here. There's like families living there and shit like that. There's all this kind of dumb shit. So basically that's what they wanted to do out there. So as soon as we get done with the inside, at night, we started it was probably like 10 o'clock in the afternoon. We started, and we got good at this stuff. Like we prefab the walls, dude. We're like fucking, like a bunch of Mexicans just going at it, dude. We're just fucking bam, bam, bam. And I am Mexican, so no one get fucking offended by that. You know, I might not sound like it, but I am Mexican.
So you're allowed to say
yeah, let me throw that disclaimer out there for, so basically, so we're prefabbing walls, and you basically have two squads inside the compound. One squad is on rest. The other squad is making up walls. And it's a 2-tiered system. So basically the bottom tier is basically just HESCO. It's where like if you're out there and you're going to take a break, you just go to the bottom and you just sit down. You can take off all your shit. It's got HESCO. You fill it with sand and stuff like that. You ain't going to get shot or nothing stupid like that. So basically that's where you go to rest and you go back up and swap out with the other guy. And then the next level, we basically put a platform down. And basically the platform is where everything was like the foundation of a house. And then we're basically going to build like almost like a duck or a deer blind. So basically it has holes all the way around it and then one door entrance onto it.
Okay.
And that's what we were going to do. So that's what we start doing. And we're fucking working. We're going at it, dude. We're like fucking Bob the Builder. We're fucking hammering nails and all that shit. And we build this thing up. And it's nighttime at this point. So we're building it as fast as we can because we don't want to be out there because we're fucking tired of shit. So basically, we build it, and we're like, man, dude, that thing looks fucking phenomenal. Dude, we should have been an architect. Like, that's how good it looked. Till the daylight hit it. And we're like, man, that thing is fucked up, dude. I'm talking, this thing is crooked. They don't line up. It looks like a fucking triangle on one side. Like, it's just all fucked up. Like, so maybe our judgment at night was probably not the best.
It didn't look like number 4?
No, fuck no, dude. No way, dude. They were making squares. We were trying to make those squares into circles, dude. That's the kind of shit we were doing. So basically, we get it done, and we're like, fuck, we're done. Like, that's good enough for me. It's good enough for you guys. And they're like, and the grunts that were there, they were like, yeah, it looks great. Like, we don't care. So basically, then Captain Ankle comes out there, who's the guy in charge of all this shit. You know, and he's the one in charge of, he was the captain of the Echo Company. Like, he was just a douchebag. Because he had a degree. That's what I'm going to put it up to. He had a degree, and he thought he was fucking better than everybody else. Till his ass started getting shot at, and it wasn't so fun. So then basically he comes out and starts looking at all these typhoons, and he comes from Typhoon 4, which is the Taj Mahal.
Right.
And then comes to ours. And he's like, no, this looks like ass. Tear it down. And we're like, you know, we look at each other, and we're like, are you fucking... You know, I got pictures of these guys and stuff. And they're all fucking sleeping on each other's butt cracks and shit. Like, they're passed out because they're so tired. Like, I was tired as fuck. We're all tired. So basically from that point, we're like, fuck it. We'll go do it. And we don't like working the middle of the day. Number 1, it's the hottest. Number 2, that's when everybody's up. You know, so at that point in time, you know, we never, you know, at this point in time, no one at this point has died in the whole battalion. No one has gotten killed. Nothing. Everybody's still fine and dandy. Yeah. And it's all cool. But basically what you learn from these deployments is everyone usually dies in the first month and the last month. Hardly anybody dies in the middle 5 months because basically you're new, so you don't know the area and stuff like that. You're trying to figure everything out.
Okay.
And basically you're always gung ho in the beginning because at that point in time no one's died, so you don't really give a fuck about it. And then at the end, you start getting complacent because you're looking at that fucking light at the end of the tunnel. And you're like,
sure.
I can't wait to get the fuck out of this motherfucker, dude. So that's usually the most point in time. That's when you lose the most people. So basically up to this point, nothing's happened. Though. We've not lost anybody or anything like that. And we have to go back out there now, and we got to replace this whole fucking top part. Which is not bad. It's not a lot to replace, you know what I mean? It's just daylight. It's all you needed. That's all we need. If we had daylight or a fucking big-ass fucking spotlight or something, we could have probably made it at night. Well, we didn't have that shit. We had the lights from the fucking loader operator as he's dumping sand in these fucking things. So it just wasn't, you know, nothing was keyed up for success or anything like that. So basically, we go out there, and basically Sergeant Bouvier, so he's our squad leader. He's the one that basically tells us to go out there, and he's like, "All right, cool." And then we go out there, and it's me and him, and then Nal, who's the other dude from fucking Mississippi, and we're basically the ones on top. And we're already hot as fuck. We're already tired of shit. We're running low on fucking dip. We're out of fucking rippets. Just your normal shit to keep you going, functioning and stuff like that. We're already out of all this stuff. And we basically get to this point where the rest of the squad is on the ground and they're fabbing up walls. And as we're fabbing up walls, as they're fabbing up, we're picking them up. 2 of us are holding it. 1 guy's fucking hammering into the ground. Like, just making it as efficient and fast as possible.
Okay.
Just so we can get off of there. Number 1, it's hot. Number 2, we're tired. 3, we're out of fucking dip and rippets. And 4, you don't want to fucking get shot at. But in that order. Like, in that order. So the last thing on our mind at that point is getting shot at.
Right.
Because we had never been shot at before. So we had no reason. It's hard to think about those things when you've never had it happen to you. So it's the last thing on your mind because you've never had it happen. So it's in the back of your mind. Like, you don't think about fucking falling off of a train or something stupid like that until you get put in that position where you're about to fall off a train. Like, you can't, like, you can practice for it and train for it and do any kind of seminar and do any kind of training for months and years, whatever you want to do. But until you're put in the situation, it's a lot fucking harder to deal with. So that's why it was the last thing on our minds.
Right.
And also, we think we're set up in the perfect area. We got enough fucking people watching out for us. We got all the fucking people we need. So based on that 4-way road that we were having, about, I would say, probably like 100 feet away, you have all these MAT-Vs. And they're basically just the MRAPs and shit like that. They got guns on them and stuff like that. And that's basically all that these do. All they do is pull security. And that's literally their whole entire job. They hardly ever get off or do anything stupid like that. That's all that they did. And basically from there, they would just sit in their gun turrets and they would just scan the edges of the roads, buildings, windows, all that kind of shit. That's all that they did. So we're thinking like, fuck, man, we're golden, dude. What the fuck? They would shoot at them before they shot at us, clearly. Like, that would be the better option. We're just up here standing on a big-ass fucking roost like we're goddamn chickens. And we're like, there's no way they'd shoot at us. So at this point, we're sitting down on the edge of the platform, and we go to pull up this fucking wall. And it's me, Sergeant Bouvier, and Nal. And we pull up this fucking wall. And as soon as we get it up, we get it right to the chest. All you hear is fucking crack, crack. And I'll never forget the sound of that fucking RPK. It was the loudest fucking, like, you hear gunshots, and you know what a gun sounds like when you shoot it. Now, reverse that roll and be on the other side of the end of that bullet. It's a sound that you'll never, like, it's there. Yeah. Embedded.
And the bullets are already there. And like, by the time you hear it,
it's too late. By the time that they've already impacted, you're hearing the crack as it hits right. Something and stuff like that. So basically, we do that. I immediately just lay down. I'm already a small dude, so I'm thinking if I just get skinny, maybe I won't get shot. And I fucking lay down on this platform, dude. And then like fucking 10 to 15 rounds come in, boom, boom, boom. You see them hitting the fucking wood. They're chipping up fucking everything, all this shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And in my mind, this shit's taking like 10 minutes. Like, this is the slowest bullet velocity on any gun I've ever seen. This is your whole mind frame. Everything fucking slows down. It's just like your, what's the dude's name? Fucking Flash. Like, everything is just slowed down. Everything is like, time is slowed. You're breathing, all this shit.
The Matrix.
That's all that it is. That's what it feels like. And you're basically, it takes a while for your brain to process that. Like, you're not, you've trained for it. You thought you've trained for it enough. You thought you've done it enough. You thought you practiced it enough. But until it happened, it's like at that point in time, you freeze at some point. You're just like, I just don't know what to do, you know? So then as soon as them fucking shots come in, obviously the thing with the Taliban, they like to shoot and move. So basically, they'll shoot 15 to 20 rounds, and then they'll move and leave and dump that gun or bury it somewhere, and then they'll get on their little moped and ride up like they're Joe Schmo, and you have no idea because they all look the fucking same. We always had the saying, everyone is Taliban. They just need that little extra push just to get them there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was the hardest part. You never knew, and you never could tell who the fuck was and who wasn't the Taliban. So it was the only way we could do is if you did like gunshot residue and stuff like that to see if they had explosives or fucking stupid ass shit on their hands. Or you had like a bats and hides program, which is a big bats and hides is basically it takes an image scan and a fingerprint of somebody, and if you come in contact with something like to do with explosives or gunshot residue, you because they weren't allowed to have guns there. Like it just wasn't, it was unheard of. So if you had gunpowder on your fucking hands, it was because you're doing some bad shit. And most of the time, if you popped up in that bats and hides program once, you were in that system forever.
Okay.
And whether you were a fucking farmer and found a gun, it didn't make a difference. you were always that's just how it was. So that was the hardest part as far for us. Like the Taliban was probably the worst fucking people to ever fight because they were so far away and they were so well hidden because it's their fucking area.
Yeah.
They've been fighting in this fucking place for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like the Russians got fucked up and now we're there and now we're getting fucked up. Like, and this is the first experience we've had with it. So then we take those shots and everything at 15, 20 rounds hit. And then I sit back up and the fucking wall's still on me. And I'm like, God damn, motherfuckers, like help me fucking lift this fucking wall off. Like, what the fuck's going on? And I look over and now the fucking hillbilly from Mississippi took the money shot. He won't say it's the money shot, but it was the money shot. He took one round. I think it was near his butthole. That's where he took the shot. It was more towards the leg, I guess you could say. That's what he would probably say. It was more towards there, but it blew out the side of his leg. Like that's how fucking where the round went in was tiny, tiny as fuck. But the exit wound, I'm filleted his leg, dude. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm fucking, like this dude's screaming, obviously. I mean, I would be fucking screaming too. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Like at this point, I'm like, oh shit. So I fucking pick him up and I just fucking kick the fuck out of him off of that fucking place. Boom. This motherfucker goes falling off down. Obviously, everybody down there, they grab him, they drag him underneath that little area that we made underneath. And everybody's, at this point in time, now everybody's starting to figure out what the fuck's going on. You know, because people in the PB are like, hey, what the fuck happened? And they just don't, like, they're just like, it's just like, they just didn't, either they didn't hear the shots because they got too much shit going on, or it was so quick that no one realized that it went on. But everyone who was around that fucking HESCO, where we were, knew that we had just got fucking lit the fuck up.
So I was going to ask, how long did it take to, like, return fire? Not from you guys.
We didn't return fire.
Well, I mean, the security guys. They
didn't return fire either because they didn't know where the fuck the shots came from. Nobody knew where the shots came from. You didn't hear, all you heard was the 15 shots. You didn't see any muzzle flash. You didn't see nothing. There was fucking nothing. That was the shitty part about it. Because if it was, trust me, I'd have lit up every fucking hole or every spot that I fucking known. But there's too many people around. And I'm in the most center point of this.
Yeah.
So to shoot from there is just not, it's just not good for me.
And you guys are busy. Like you get caught off guard.
Oh,
like
we
you
don't
were
even
saying.
have our guns up there.
Right.
Like they're on the side laying down, like against the fucking frame. Like we don't even have them up there. Because we thought everyone outside of that had already had enough, you know. I knew we weren't going to get shot from our back because the left side is where the PB is, and then you have the road, and then it's very wooded, and you can't see anything. But the front side, as we're looking towards, I think it was the north, you would see the left side. It's all buildings right there. It's a long-ass wall, fucking buildings everywhere. And then right next to us is just a family house. The family just lives there. That's it. Just a normal fucking family. And we're like, cool. I'm like, there's no way they would shoot. These people are right here. They're fucking washing dishes. They're talking to our Marines and shit like that. Why would they shoot here? Like, it would just, they're going to fucking kill somebody. So then at that point, so Now's off. He's fucking screaming in the fucking hut and everything like that. Everybody's trying to get him a fucking tourniquet and all that shit because they don't know. That's what they know to do. And then I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, wait, dude, there was one more fucking person up here. What the fuck is going on, dude? And I look over, and Sergeant Bouvier took fucking 2 rounds to the back of the head. Bam. Instant.
Shit.
Done. Not even, like, I'm talking, when you think, like, somebody's like, oh, they'll be all right. They'll be okay and stuff like that. Like this, that's done. Like, there's no, like, where you would think, you know, you get a cut on your finger and stuff like that. Or you, like, cut your leg or some shit like that. Like, it bleeds. You know what I mean? But to see, like, a dude you were just talking to 30 seconds ago is now bleeding from every orifice he has on his fucking face, mouth, nose, eyes, ears, the whole shebang. And you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and you're just like, this dude's only fucking 23.
Yeah.
You know, he took 2 shots right to the back of the head. One actually hit the flak, and then 2 came up. So when they lifted the gun up, they fucking 2 of them hit him straight in the back, right in the back of the head. One here, one went under the Kevlar and went into it. So then at this point, and keep in mind, this dude is like 6'4", maybe not 6'4". He's about 6 foot, but he's probably pushing 210, 215, 220, somewhere around there, dude. And me, at this point, I'm the only motherfucker up there at this time. I'm 5'9", maybe 140 pounds. To try and lift, I don't give a fuck how strong you are, dude. I don't give a shit how much adrenaline's going to your body. Like, to lift someone up dead weight like that, then he's leaning forward onto this wall. To lift someone up like that is probably the hardest thing you could ever do. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, there's no way I could do this. So I try. Of course I try. And then at this point, I just lay him down and try and turn him onto his side, just so the blood just keeps fucking pouring and pouring and pouring. And at this point, all right, cool. Anyways, sorry, we had to take a little break there, guys. We had to go pee real quick, you know, drain the main vein type stuff. But anyway, so basically at this point, he's like, I laid him down and he's on his side and shit like that. And I'm like, and at this point, everybody's starting to come out because everybody's kind of realizing what the hell's going on. It felt like it took everyone the time to get out there. It felt like took them fucking 10, 15 minutes.
I bet, man.
Dude, it's the worst. And everyone down below, there's only like 4 or 5 of them down below. They're trying to attend to a dude who's shot in the fucking leg. So I can't, like, I don't want to, like, we're trying to tell people, hey, get the fucking corpsman, like, we need the corpsman out here and all this shit. And it felt, dude, forever. The slowest time you ever, like, you think of the longest red light you've ever sat at. Imagine that, like, 10 folds. And these are all precious seconds. Like, I don't think it would have made a difference, unfortunately. But at that point, and then at some point, your brain kind of changes. You know what I mean? So at first, you're in shock. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? And now this dude is dead on the ground. And you're like, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, I at this point, you know, I'm only 20. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Like, and then you feel like you're freezing and you're just staring at this dude dying for like fucking 20 minutes, like it feels like. But it was probably only maybe 30 seconds at most, you know? So then basically, the corpsman comes running out there before everybody else. Like, fucking, he's this fat fucking dude, which, my 2 cents on fucking corpsmen in the Marine Corps, they should be either the same rank as us, but no higher. Because once you get to a higher point, like, as a corpsman, you're taught a lot of stuff, you know. You learn, like, combat trauma, like, repairs. Like, that's what you're taught. And I feel like it should always be somebody who's the same rank as us. Because they're fresh out of school, they're young, and they don't get fucking tired when they do shit. Like, that's my 2 cents on it. We should not have a corpsman who is, he's just fucking lazy. Like, he was basically the equivalent to a staff sergeant, which is the same guy who just sits back and just does paperwork. That's all he does. So, and that was the guy that we had.
So when you say corpsman, so in the Army, I'm thinking medic.
Yep, same thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the corpsman is just the Navy's side. They attach with Marines and stuff like that. But the corpsman we had, I couldn't even fucking tell you his name at this point. I probably could find him if I really wanted to, but I wouldn't. Like, if I saw the motherfucker, it'd be a bad day for him. But he was big. But he forgot everything he knew. Like, you forget. Like, you know, it's just like fucking doing anything. You know, if you don't do it long enough or you're doing something else, you forget this shit. And it pissed me off to no end. So he gets out there, and you're thinking, this guy is supposed to be the saving grace. Like, at least he will try and attempt to do something to save this man's life. Like, you would think. Like, I've done everything that I could with nothing. You have a whole fucking backpack of your fucking tricks you got right there, and you can't fucking think of anything. He gets out there, and he just stands there. Doesn't know what to fucking do. Nothing. And this fucking dude is just, like, frozen. And it pissed me the fuck off. All right? And this motherfucker, like, it was... If I'd had a gun in my hand, I'd have shot his ass. Like, that's at the point where I would have been at. So then basically, he just doesn't know what to do. And at the same time, So we have that security unit that's out there. And basically, they had a corpsman that was with them. Big jack motherfucker. Like massive, like swole dude. And basically, a lot of corpsmen sometimes are buds dropouts. Like that's usually sometimes the guys we get. Because they still want to get some sort of combat of some sort, but they can't do Navy SEALs because they flunked out of that. So usually you get a lot of corpsmen who flunked out of buds training and then they end up being a corpsman for like infantry units and stuff like that. So this dude was massive. Had a fucking red, white, and blue bandana on like he was a saving grace. And this dude came out and immediately started working. Like going at it. Bam, bam, bam. This motherfucker is on point with everything he's doing. But he was too big. Sergeant Bouvier was too big to pick him up without hurting him anymore to get him down.
Yeah.
So then Sergeant Romriel, which is them two were like bros. Like they had known each other for fucking years. Like they'd known each other just as long as I had known Sug and all these other guys. Like they had from fucking PFCs to sergeants. Like these dudes were bros.
All right.
So then he comes out, he jumps in the fucking loader, brings the loader out, puts the bucket, the edge of the bucket to the fucking platform. And basically we take him and put him in that fucking loader because there was no other way to get him down. And then we put him into the fucking loader. And then basically one of us, like I ride with him, like in it to try and like stabilize him and make sure he's not fucking moving and shit like that. And then when they get him back into it, so basically he tilts the bucket and at that point I can jump out and then he's pretty stable and they can take him inside and they can work on him in there. And basically at this point, so once you find out someone's either been shot or is dead or anything like that, you basically get a 9 line spun up. So basically a 9 line basically calls Camp Bastion and all of their fucking army medics and all that shit, which these dudes are badass motherfuckers. Like, these are the kind of dudes, like, that don't give a fuck about anything. They don't care where they're dropping in. They don't care what they're doing. They don't care where they got to pick somebody up. It doesn't matter. These dudes are swinging in fucking perpendicular to the fucking trees. These dudes are badass motherfuckers. And basically, they call up the 9 line and they land it right next to the platform and everything like that. And they land and everything like that. And the doc, that when he was inside, the corpsman that was in there, he gets a pulse back to him. Fucking cracked him up. We put the air tube in him. We get a pulse back to him. Bam.
Shit.
So, which was good, obviously. So you're like, all right, maybe there's hope. You know, at this point, you're just like, maybe there's hope. So I'm standing on the platform still. Still have not came off that platform. Nothing. Just staying up there. Got my gun in one hand, and I got fucking Sergeant Bouvier's in the other. And I'm just fucking pacing. Just in a circle. Got fucking blood everywhere. And that was like my first like realization that this shit is not a game.
Yeah.
Like the first, and this is only month 1. Like we're not even a month in. And this is like when the realization hits, it hits you like a fucking hammer. And it's not like, you know, it's not like in the beginning I was like, man, this is fucking boring as fuck. After that point, you're like, I don't want to do a fucking thing after that. Like nothing. Because then after that, obviously he gets the bird, fucking the Black Hawk takes him and stuff like that. And then he dies on the way to Camp Bastion. So that's like the worst news you could get right there. And at that point, like we're done with the fucking Typhoon. We build the fucking stupid out. We had to go right back out there. Fucking 2 hours after everyone had just got shot. And finish up the fucking wall. Because, you know, the motto of the Marine Corps, regardless of what happens in any situation, you still got your mission and your job to do, regardless. So we fucking sprayed a little water, threw a little dirt over the blood, and then just act like nothing ever happened. Because regardless, hey, unfortunately, he's dead, and lucky for now, he's alive, and he's back fucking getting surgery. But unfortunately for you, buddy, you still got 6 more months of this bullshit. And I'm like, fuck, man. So we had to go right back out there. We go up there, we fucking build the wall up and all this other bullshit and everything like that. And it's just like, that's when the realization sunk in. And then at that point in time, so like the day before that was when the first Marine with 2.9 had gotten killed. I think there was like 3 of us, 3 of them that died. It was Twig, the dude that I was talking about, the badass motherfucker. So he got shot and killed. And at the same time, some other dude, and I think Golf or Fox Company or something like that, had died too. And then Sergeant Bouvier was the 3rd one within like 3 days. Like a span of like 3 days, all 3 of these dudes got fucking killed. So then that's when you came to the realization, like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't ask, you shouldn't be asked for more, because what you got is probably going to be fucking enough.
Yeah.
And you're like, and that's when your realization, and you being fucking 20, you're like, man, This shit ain't no fucking, it ain't no Call of Duty video game. This shit was like real life. And once you see all that shit and you go through that stuff, man, you're just like, nah, man, I'm good with this. I'm good. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
You're ready to fucking clock out and just fucking leave, dude, at that point.
And looking at it again, it was the captain. So it was supposed to be done at night, right?
Mm-hmm. Usually. Yeah, we try and do everything at night.
But he wanted it done, redone immediately during the day, and then that's when all this shit happened.
Yeah. So that's why, to this day, I blame that motherfucker for everything. Because he's the motherfucker who made the call to make us go out there. And then we had our CO, our commanding officer, said, yeah, we'll do it. Didn't push back. Didn't fight for nothing. Nothing. Really, we just spent 18 hours out there fucking fixing it. And then he comes out there broad daylight after he had fucking 8 to 10 hours of sleep and comes to tell us to redo it. And you couldn't fucking be like, yeah, we'll do it tonight.
And looking back at it, how important was this to be redone immediately?
Oh, it wasn't important at all. There was no need for it. And on top of that, 5 months after we leave, after we get out of Afghanistan, they give it all right back to the Taliban. All these fucking beautiful places that we built up and everything like that, they gave it all back. Because after that was when they started doing the drawdown of fucking had the whole war in Afghanistan. So then after I think there was one more combat deployment after that. But after that, there was nothing. Everything that we had fucking did and all that bullshit that we had went through, they just gave it all right back. And I was like, so we did all that shit for nothing? Well, I mean, you didn't do it for nothing. Like, obviously, you wanted to go on a deployment, do that cool stuff and shit like that. But then at the end of the day, you're like, man, that wasn't even worth it. Like, none of it was. For what? So I can get some stupid-ass fucking ribbon and have shitty-ass dreams for the rest of my life? That's all you get out of it? All my fucking bones are hurting. Fucking can't hear. But hey, I got a cool-ass ribbon out of it. That's all that I got out of it.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I mean...
So, and that was just the first, like, that was month 1, dude. You know? Like, the first, the in the middle stuff was not really, there wasn't really that much meat and potatoes in there. You know, we did a bunch of dumb shit and stuff like that. Like, I can go into the fucking FET program, the Lioness program, where they tried to bring women into combat and all that other bullshit, which didn't work out. And then the last 2 months of that deployment was like fucking balls to the wall. It felt like you were in that first scene of fucking what the fuck is that, Saving Private Ryan bullshit, like that shit. Like you're on the beaches fucking storming like that. The first 2 months were like balls to the wall, crazy, and you're like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Then it kind of lulled off, and you kind of rode the wave as it went. And then those last couple months, man. But I'm not gonna get into that. We'll go into that on the next one. So basically, that was when we went from Marja, which Marja was cool, man. Marja was where you wanted to be. Like it was like, like it was like that cool spot where everybody liked to hang out. It was just all fucking gunfights, and then you go back, shoot the shit, play some cards, do your posts, go back out, do the same thing, do a couple gunfights. Like it was just. We were in a rhythm, dude. Fox 14 was where it was at. That was our spot. We went there. We had fun. People got shot. We killed a lot of people. Stuff like that. Like, that shit was fun. But then we had to transition and go from there to where our home, where we were fucking normal, like our normality, everything that we liked. And they ripped us out of that and fucking stuck us in some brand new place in Sangin Valley, which was a fucking shithole. That place was fucking prison on its own. Like, if you could burn that part off the fucking map, I would do it. Because that place really sent you over. That place made you never want to deploy again. Ever. Like, it wasn't like, no, I'll do that again. The money was great. Yeah, but the money ain't great if you ain't got your fucking legs. Like, how you going to spend it? Can't do nothing. So that was the back half of that deployment, which was just a nightmare. Like, I would have done anything just to go back to Marja. I was like, man, this place is the bee's knees. But it's just not. Like, the one fucking battalion that went there, they just got so fucking... They were there for maybe 2 weeks, and they were already combat ineffective. 3-5 got so fucked up within the first month. They lost fucking hundreds of guys just getting blown the fuck up bam, bam, getting blown the fuck up. And we're like, what the fuck is going on over there? And they're like, so I was in Marja, and I was basically just a grunt. I was just a rifleman. I was just doing patrols. Didn't do nothing with being an engineer. Because after that typhoon bullshit and all that shit happened, we basically were like the Beatles or like a band. And we all just disbanded and everything like that. And basically every squad went with their company, and then that's where they stayed for the rest of the. So first squad went with golf. We went with Echo Company, and then third squad went with Fox. And basically, we didn't see each other after that. It was just all the 11 guys you were with is the 11 guys you were going to see for the next fucking 5 months. So once all that, and then I had to see fucking Captain Mankum for every fucking the last 5 months of this fucking deployment, the fucking douchebag. But all of that. So that's basically what we were doing. Is we were just basic riflemen with them in Marja, which was fun. You just go out on patrols, shoot some motherfuckers, come back, go to sleep. It was cool. Just like a normal day in the office. And then Sangin was like, nope, engineers are doing everything. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, nah, nigga, I'm a grunt, dude. What you doing? I'm a grunt. Like, no, right. No. You ain't, buddy. Your MOS is 1371, buddy. So that's where you're going to be. And now it's on me doing explosives, finding bombs, looking for IDs, the whole shebang, which I'm not going to get into that. But that was I guess it'll set it up for the next combat fucking conversation that we have. But that, on the other half, that was a nightmare for me. Like, every day I was grabbing onto my legs, like, might be the last day I have these motherfuckers, and just doing a little dance and stuff like that. So it was crazy, man. So, but yeah, I think that's probably pretty good for that first one.
Yeah, mm-hmm. You mentioned Private Ryan. I like the movie. I really like the movie, but I can hardly watch it because that one dude, that pussy in there that won't fucking kill anybody.
Oh yeah, the one guy who his buddy was up there, or not even his buddy. He was about to get stabbed or something like that.
Well, he didn't. Well, the first of the German soldier that he didn't want to kill.
Right.
So then they let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And then wasn't it the same guy that came up the stairs?
Yep.
And he just kind of cowered and let him go up there.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowly fucking killed his dude.
Stabbed his buddy in the fucking stomach.
Man.
Then he came down. Yeah. I mean, he kills him in the end, I guess. But at the cost of what? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that shit is shitty as fuck, dude.
So the one guy you were telling me about, the corpsman, just kind of locked up and couldn't do it.
It happens, dude. It happens a lot, dude. You don't realize, man. I don't give a shit. Like, a lot of people that age group, man, like, you always knew. You could always tell. That's why before deployment stuff like that, we tried to break everybody. We tried to break everybody just because when you got put in that situation, I just wanted to make sure either A, you weren't going to fucking shoot me, and B, I know you ain't going to cower out. Like, if it's one-on-one with me and some other dude, you better know that I'm going to give everything that I got to fucking make sure that motherfucker don't come across. But you had to make sure that the other dude right next to you was the same way. Because there was 1 ounce of him being fucking terrified. People being scared. Like, you were fucked. One chink in the chain, dude. It's breaking.
Yeah.
So, that kind of shit. And you found out quick, too. You found out real quick who those people were. Because the first time we get shot at, if motherfuckers are running away, nah. You stay. You're the tool. You turn into the tool checker out kind of guy. Where you just sit in the fucking container and you check out tools for everybody. Because I don't want your ass out there with me. Nah. And that's when we did that to people, dude.
Well, did anybody surprise you? Like someone that you thought was there and you thought was hardcore and then they fucking didn't do anything or surprised you? Or
Nah, man. Nah. It was usually... I mean, there was only one guy who I thought was just a real bitch. But he was a bitch before we got there. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you found out we got there and he was just like turned into a bitch. Like, you knew he was like that before.
Okay.
So, but most of the time, I mean, most of us, dude, everybody was cool and everybody did the same thing. Everybody was on the same page. There was nobody, and even when you got to the grunt platoons, like in the grunt platoons, you knew who were the turds that weren't going to do shit, and you knew who was badass. And 80%, 90% of them were all fucking cool dudes. They'd have you back through thick and thin. It didn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Seemed like we had a lot of really good guys. our unit has a long history, or the unit I was in has a long history of just training better and that kind of thing. And we had a few guys, of course. I mean, when you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of people, you're going to have a few guys that aren't just going to cut it. But I don't know.
We always tried to break them before, man. You break them before you get there. Like, that's what we always did, man. Yeah. If we smelt fucking fear, or fucking little girl in you, like, we broke that shit out real quick. Like, you knew, like, no, get him out of here. We know he's not gonna do good for us. So that's what we try to do. But I mean, for that whole deployment, like, everybody stepped up when they had to. Like, everybody. Minus that fucking bitch ass Corman. I wish I could remember his name. And then this other dude, I won't say his name because I know him. But he knows who he is.
Yeah.
Regardless. But that was for that first deployment, for me, was like a real eye opener for everything. Because at some point, man, you can keep cashing in your chips all you want, but at some point you're gonna break. And at some point your fucking numbers get pulled, dude. And by the end of that deployment, I was like, I gotta get out of this. Otherwise, because I just kept wanting to go back and just feed into it. Like, let's go. Let's fucking push it all to the wire. It didn't matter. At that point, after you'd already seen the shit that I seen, you were like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. So you just tried to push it as much as you could until you get fucking rocked one or two times. You're like, all right, maybe I'm not invincible. So, because, there's some close calls. Like, that was the first time right there. And when that whole shit happened with Sergeant Bovey, all that stuff happened, I was like, why the fuck? How did I get missed in that whole fucking situation? Hit both of them and miss me. Like, to this day, I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you the spray pattern or the way that the angle that they were shooting at. I don't know. I don't know if maybe they were more to the left, and that's how the angle came in. And just because he was so big, he took the brunt of most of it, or if it was more than that, I couldn't tell you. But all I know is I was like, damn. That was close.
Yeah, you think it was just luck on their side, randomly firing shit into a large area?
No, they were going for him, 100%.
Yeah.
They knew he was the one in charge.
Okay.
Like, that was because he's the one fucking up there directing, like, do this. That's all that they want to do. Like I said before, they always shot, and then they came out and looked. You know what I mean? So you never could shoot anybody or tell them, well, at that point in time, we weren't shooting anybody. But that's what they always did, so you never knew. But it was a win for them if they ever shot any amount of bullets, whether it be 1 round, 20 rounds, 500, didn't make a difference. It didn't, however many rounds that they shot, as long as they saw a Black Hawk coming in, they knew that they did something right, regardless, because they knew they hit somebody at that point.
Yeah.
So that was their only fucking job. And at that point, like, I didn't even know there was fucking bounties on people's heads and stuff like that for squad leaders, for team leaders, for officers, for commanding officers, for fucking engineers. Like, all this shit. There's different prices, and these motherfuckers are getting paid for it. It's like a betting game for them. To be like, hey, like, these motherfuckers, like, you kill this dude, give you fucking $500. Shit like that. Like, you never knew about this stuff until after the fact. Once you got into it, and you started looking, you started talking to, like, some A&A, some Afghan National Army guys. Like, there'd be some crazy-ass shit. These dudes were smart as fuck, dude. They've been there for hundreds of years, dude, fighting. They knew the fucking terrain, and they knew it good. And they would fuck us up. We'd fuck them up. But it always felt like our fucking them up, like it felt good and stuff like that. But we'd kill fucking 10, 15 of them and shit like that, whatever. And it always felt good. But it never was, it never was satisfying. But when they killed one of ours, that shit felt like they just killed fucking 500.
Yeah.
Like, it was just completely.
On this side of it, sure. I mean,
right.
They're not killing nearly the amount of people that that we're killing, but it hurts more for sure.
Right. Yeah. So, and that was the first one, and it was just fucking. It made you grow up real quick, dude. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, I don't want to die for my 21st birthday, dude. Like, what the fuck? So, but yeah. So, anyways, enough about those sad and crazy ass stories. So that's pretty much the end for that one. And then we will be back next Thursday I don't know if Matt will be back, but I will be back. Maybe Matt will be back because he's into the weird shit too. You know, we talk about aliens and Bigfoot and fucking combat and all these weird ass stories and stuff like that. Because I don't know, like most people, I don't talk to these things about. But I feel like me and Matt talk about all kinds of things, and it's just kind of normality. We just kind of have a couple drinks and just shoot the shit about stuff, and that's kind of that's kind of what we do. So next week, Thursday, we'll be back again, and we'll pick right up where we left off, and we will go from there.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.